Hey guys, we just got back from Doctor Strange, Marvel's 14th film.
Is it really?
Yes, isn't that crazy?
Holy crap, I didn't even know.
14 films. And so this is the 14th film, and is Marvel fucking them up? Are they losing speed?
No.
Hell no!
Not really.
The fucking film was awesome. It was good. In my opinion, it was awesome. So I am really surprised that the film held up so strong here. I think that, in my opinion, this film was way better than I thought it would be with the source material. Marvel is getting really good at adapting ridiculous, stupid, kind of retro-ish, characters and turning them into, fun, visually appealing, telling an origin story while also having this epic boss fight and action set pieces within, a 2-hour or less than 2-hour story. And they're getting really good at that. Ant-Man we've seen. We didn't
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Now Doctor Strange. So let's talk a little bit about the film. First off, excellent cast.
Yep.
Excellent casting.
They do that in all
Almost
their movies.
You know how Tony Stark is
Iron Man.
No. Tony Stark.
He is Iron Man.
Well, yes, he's Iron Man.
But now that Tony Stark is Iron Man.
But Robert Downey.
You're talking about Robert Downey.
We know what you were going with.
And just as perfectly cast as that, we have Benedict here, who does an amazing job as Doctor Strange. He just feels perfectly fit for the role. Maybe it's because I'm a huge fan of Sherlock, and I pick up a little bit of his inquisitive nature, his intelligence type of nature, and I just thought he fits the character perfectly. And this was just an entertaining watch.
It was great.
He was really good at being an American asshole in the beginning of the movie. I was impressed with his character, his ability to just become American. It was spot on. It was pretty good.
Yeah, just
ego just went through.
A massive ego. He's a rich doctor who kind of just plays to win, doesn't take anything too challenging unless it's to rib on his fellow co-workers and say, look at how much better I am than you, driving around in his fucking Ferrari. And I couldn't quite tell what was going on there. I think it was his fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't something like
It was
later
his
on
fault.
you'd find out.
He's looking at his fucking
Right,
cell
looking
phone.
at, so don't text and drive, and
Yeah, don't text and drive while
flies
going.
off, basically loses his hands, this central thing that makes him so much money and drives him and gives him purpose in his life, and it completely wrecks his world. He's in free fall, yelling at the love interest, who was played by Rachel Adams. Yeah, she puts in a great performance. Okay, Joe,
All right,
she's
Joe, yes.
attractive, but what about her acting ability?
It's also hot.
Okay, gotcha. And so the first half of this film feels grounded in realism, and it really sets the stage for introducing audiences to a type of Marvel movie that we've really not seen before. Maybe a little bit of quirkiness in Guardians of the Galaxy, but here we're dealing with full-on magic, and the way that it's handled it couldn't have been any more perfect in my opinion. Now there are flaws with the film, and we'll get to that. But this is a film you need to go out and see. Yep. I cannot believe here we're at the 14th version of a 14th film, and I'm like, run out and see it because you're really gonna enjoy it. So
Definitely.
Beard.
I loved it. Mm-hmm. Anything that deals with the multiverse and dealing with time, I love.
Yeah.
So this definitely hit home for me.
So let's talk about some of the central characters besides the ones. How do you feel about the Ancient One? Now, I do need to mention that they changed up the origins a little bit. I think in order so that they could play this movie in China. So maybe a little bit cowardly to sort of change the ethnicities and the things. They wanted the film to be more diverse, but yet they don't want the central character to be Asian. Instead, it is... I don't know the girl's
Kelsey.
name.
Yeah.
but you know, she's obviously white. She's a female. She
Yeah.
shaves her head bald. They don't ever really explain why she's in the middle of Nepal or how she got into it. It's to them, it's unimportant.
Yep.
She's just the ancient one. She has the power that is basically protecting the Earth, because the Earth is very desired by all the darkness in the galaxy, and one dark being in particular, Dormammu. And I only know of Dormammu because I play plenty of Marvel games, and they throw him in as sort of like an ultimate Ghost Rider is kind of what he looks like. Yeah. He's just super powerful. He's an evil sorcerer.
And he shoots fire.
And he shoots fire.
Tons
He's
of
just
fire.
flaming head and stuff. And so she is the protector of the universe. She finds him at his most vulnerable point, or he goes seeking a cure for to get his hands back, and ends up learning all the magic. What did you feel about her?
I feel she could have been played by just about anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
And still
I think they
been okay.
created the character, that specific character, just for her.
Yeah.
And
It could have been done by basically anyone. So I felt like her role was kind of interchangeable, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, all the way.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one else could do that, in my opinion. He did that absolutely spot on.
He did nail
damn
it.
fine, damn
Yeah.
fine. And it's just interesting to watch the man. You're intrigued to watch him. A lot of unexpected things happen in the film. And how'd you feel about his friend? I don't know, what is it, Mordecai or Mortem? I'm not Doctor Strange comic book reader, so I'm not as familiar with his origins or anything like that. But you know, the guy who he ends up butting heads with towards the end.
The
of the film.
assassin from Serenity.
He was more, like, you know, set by the rules, and I find it very interesting. I think they're setting him up for the sequel, because I read his name, and I think in the comics he's a villain, and so they're setting him up in movie 2 to be a villain. And I think that could be, you know, an interesting thing. You establish friendship first, and then you turn it, and you're going to have a villain that's more interesting than a lot of the recent Marvel villains that we've been getting. Joe, how do you feel about the villain in this particular film?
I think it actually lacked development. Like, he just, basically, to me, he turned bad because he wanted to know one secret, immortality. I said, well, why?
It's a pretty big secret,
He's like,
Joe.
well, why are you mad? What's the conflict? He's like, fuck you, I'm out. So now he's fucking causing havoc for no reason.
So you're thinking that this Marvel movie has the continued problems of the little bit of a weak villain?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I felt like he had pretty good motive. Like, he felt that he was saving the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because he felt that if he put the world in the dark dimension, everyone would live forever. 'Cause that's what
I
he
like
promised.
this villain. I like this villain more than the Ant-Man villain. I like him more than Ronan. But I will agree, he's a little weaker. I'm looking for a little more multi-dimensional villains, a little more complex villains. And I know that's very, very difficult. A lot of reviewers don't realize what exactly they're asking in a film where not only do you have to set up this origin, but you have to introduce audiences to such an outlandish idea and magic, and then also bring all the Marvel baggage with it so that it makes sense in that world, and people aren't asking, well, why aren't the Avengers showing up, and why isn't there affecting lasting effects? And that's how they do this Mirrorverse thing, where they can teleport themselves all across the world, but they can also teleport themselves into a mirror world where they could fire off their magic, and it doesn't have as much of effect on the real world. Now, eventually in the final act, it does come out into the real world, and shit gets real, and then Doctor Strange uses, in the comics, you see he's got a little green energy, and he picks that up, and he's able to manipulate time with his green energy. So the visual effects are amazing, astounding.
Awesome.
This is worth going and seeing just for that alone. Even though you've got AAA actors, performances, action scenes, which towards the end of the film, and visuals. I mean, it's fantastic. The only thing a little bit is maybe what Joe was saying is the weaker villains are continuing here. Yeah. But I think me and Beard disagree just a little bit. We like them. I like what they did with Dormammu. They had a very difficult thing here. Now, I wish
we
they
don't want to
would've gone.
spoil that, though.
Okay, we're not going to spoil it. we're just going to say that Green Lantern, with Ryan Reynolds, chose to take Parallax, the villain of that film, and turn him into like a cloud and all this bullshit, and it was stupid. Same thing with Fantastic Four, where they took Galactus and they made him a cloud or whatever the fuck they make him. They don't fuck that up here. Now, do I prefer him to look more like his comic book origin? Yes, but I think that just the dark dimension looks so cool, and everything is so seamlessly integrated. You can see the lights of that dimension on his face, and the clever way that he confronts Dormammu, who has immense amount of power. How is Doctor Strange, this relative rookie?
He basically went up against a god.
Went up against a god and found a way to win, and all of that is worth seeing.
Like a David and Goliath.
David and Goliath story.
And smarts.
Basically packing all this shit into a single story, it is just fantastically done. It's very hard for me to imagine a scenario where this would have been adapted more perfectly.
Got one.
Yeah.
But I can't say it without spoiling.
Okay, well,
but I will agree with
let's do a spoiler section, and so let's just talk no spoilers here.
Yep.
So, I do want to talk a little bit more about the film, though.
I want to talk about what OJ was saying with the bad guys not being that strong. I can come up with 3 different ways they could have tied closer to the comics and still introduced it to magic. Because you got to remember, there's been Harry Potter and all this other crap already. People understand magic, at least. They could have just gone like full balls to the wall and had him fight somebody big, but just do it in another dimension. And something, and then they could have like actual like super crazy reality. He was fighting cohorts basically.
Yeah, but he did fight someone.
No, I felt he felt somebody powerful and and another master or disciple, so to speak. And then he went up against the god that they worship in a sense. And I thought the stakes were high. I thought it was really well done. And it establishes Doctor Strange as a powerhouse. Yeah. Notice, I'm not going to spoil anything, but they bring in a Marvel character here that he's talking to. And he's talking on almost an equal playing field with that particular character. And you feel like Doctor Strange is a heavy hitter who is going to factor into future movies. And at the end, I wanted to see another Doctor Strange.
Oh, hell yeah.
I am really on board with his performance and this universe. I think is really well done. But yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and give some final verdicts, and we'll jump straight to the spoiler section afterwards. So I guess we'll start with Beard. What are you thinking, Beard?
I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay,
It was a fun ride all the way through. I was never bored. I love the character. I love the universe. The dialogue was fantastic, and the visuals were basically Inception on steroids.
Yeah, and I did not expect this because the director is Scott, who is it?
Scott Derrickson.
Scott Derrickson, and his previous films include...
Sinister.
Like horror films I don't like.
Sinister
Emily
2.
Rose.
I like the first Sinister.
Just really bad horror films.
A lot of bad movies.
A lot of bad movies. And so I when I started reading the list, I'm like, really? What's going on?
This is his redemption.
Superior writing, redemption. He wrote a little bit, and he had 2 additional writers helping him.
There was a lot of money in this movie.
Of course.
Probably
Marvel
helps a little bit.
Marvel, that definitely helps.
I gotta step my game up this time.
And it's just a real faithful adaptation, other than the Ancient One stuff where they felt a little timid about that, and we don't want to piss off China with Mongolia and China and Tibet and all that stuff.
Whatever, man.
They switched that stuff around. It's a little cowardly, but the character that they created, it seems to fit in perfectly. I'm not attached to the Doctor Strange, origins in comics.
Neither am I.
So for me, it felt all natural. It felt like this is really, how everything was in the comics. So I think audiences won't skip a beat on it. Joe?
Already me? Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically...
No, I'm not here. No.
I'm going to give this an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I obviously like better movies, but this one is going to be an 8 due to the villain development, kind of like lacking on that, and then the end was pretty anticlimactic for me. The battle scene I wish was a little bit better, so I'm going to give it an 8.
Yeah. So he's talking about the climax, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in the spoilers. An 8 out of 10. You feel that this is some people are saying it's the best Marvel film to date. No, you don't think so.
No.
You think Guardians of the
That one's
Galaxy better?
Yeah, and,
Civil War better?
way
Okay.
better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I gotta agree with other Joe on that. It's a solid 8 for me, because I was thinking, I liked it, but I don't like it as much as Guardians or Civil War or the first Avengers or anything like that. And those are all 9s for me. So for this, if they had tried to make it as like crazy action packed as they could and like gone full throttle for it, I would have been more for it.
Yeah.
But I agree with like the weak bad guy until the very end. But we'll talk about that. And honestly, they could have. I like where they went slow, but it was not my favorite.
But these two guys who are giving it 8s, do you give full recommendations to
Oh,
see
yeah,
this thing
no,
immediately,
definitely.
like now? Okay.
I would say go see it.
Yeah, same here. And I'm probably more with Beard, where I want to give it a 9 out of 10. And I also, as I'm hearing, let's compare it to the other 13 Marvel films. But really, is this film effective at introducing an outlandish character like Doctor Strange into this Marvel universe and having him fit within it, but yet be unique and interesting, and you buy his origin, you pack in an immense conflict with very high stakes, and you have a character arc where he becomes from being a bit of a fucking stuck-up asshole to having to take immense responsibility and find a way to save others, even though he can't use his hands as a doctor anymore. And now he uses his hands to conjure up spells. It's great. And on that, it is definitely a 9 out of 10, and the fact that it's executed in so flawlessly in this, that there's very little things to pick out. But ultimately, I will go with an 8 out of 10 for a lot of these reasons, and some of the reasons that we could talk about in spoilers. But I do want to mention that it's most definitely worth going out and seeing at theaters. Support this film because it's just great all around. You can tell that these are Marvel films at its prime. Doesn't show any signs of slowing. And look, I'm tired of reading about film critics who are like, I'm so tired of the Marvel films. Like, okay, if you're tired of them, stop fucking watching them. Just don't watch them. Move on to something else, because honestly, objectively looking at this film, it is a really great story from beginning to end. And for you not to be invested, I'm a little surprised. Yeah, there's some weak elements. Maybe they could have made his love interest and put her in just a tad bit more. But with how much the movie covers, it's very difficult to tell these stories. You'd be telling a 3-4 hour story. So this truncated thing is almost picture perfect. So 8 out of 10, definitely go check out Doctor Strange. It is a fantastic addition to the Marvel Universe and among the best films that they've put out, and I want to see a sequel, and I know it's going to get better from here, so it has that potential of a 8 and 9. And I do want to point out that the film was very funny.
Oh yeah,
very
There's
funny.
a lot of funny moments.
A lot of funny
Well,
moments.
it's Marvel writing.
It's Marvel
they
writing.
always are good.
They have fun with being a hero. They have fun with learning and opening a whole new world. There's just something romantic about being able to control, and shift the known universe by going, like this.
Whoa, take it easy, son.
Oh shit!
No,
It's just so cool, and I gotta say the theme song at the end of the film, I made a comment, Joe. It's sort of like medieval, and it's got this real nice jingle to it. I just love that song. So guys, go out and see Doctor Strange. All glowing reviews from all of us, and stick around for the spoilers. So we'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.